Did you know that Thanksgiving Eve is one of the biggest bar nights of the entire year? But you don't need to wait to tonight to start partying with those old college buddies when you see them again. You can start it right here. It is not just Wednesday, November 27th. It is Warriors Wednesday. I'm Damon. That's Cyrus. This is happening on both of our channels. And welcome. Cy, how are you, pal?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing this beautiful morning, Thanksgiving Eve, as you mentioned, the night when everyone parties their ass off?
It is my favorite holiday, man.
I know a lot of people,
I got, of all my favorite Fs, you've got three of them. You got food, football, and family, leaving just one F that, only my wife and I talk about that F. But, this is my favorite time of the year. It really is. I'm a holidays guy. I love football and Thanksgiving. And, this is when it feels like the NBA starts to officially matter too. I know a lot of people wait till Christmas to start their Thanksgiving interest.
Yes, they do.
Hey, dude, my by the way, my Hoosiers are getting smoked off the court right now. It's a good thing we're a football school all of a sudden, Cyrus, because the basketball team didn't show up today. And unfortunately for Warriors fans, the team did not show up to the last two games. The worst loss of the year follows maybe the other candidate for among the worst losses of the year. They totally spit the bit with an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter, allowing the Nets to drop 41 in the final frame to lose a home game. And right before they lost that home game, they lost on the road to the San Antonio Spurs in a game that they had an awful lot of control of right up until they didn't close it out. So a couple of bad games for us leading into this show, and what is, I think we both agree, been a pretty good start to a year.
A phenomenal start to the year. I mean, the start to the year to me, if it solidified anything, it's that this is a season where Steph is a legitimate shot at a fifth world championship. Not just Steph, obviously Draymond, the whole team, but I mean, Steph is the core focus here because of how important that fifth title would be for his legacy in the grand scheme of things. It's incredible that a member of the Warriors could cement himself on the Mount Rushmore of all-time greats if he wins a fifth title. That's how important it is. And the team has shown from this 12-5 start that they are legit, that you can't throw this season away. I think that point has been made clear where we sit right now on Thanksgiving Eve. The Warriors have a shot this year. Don't blow it.
100% agree. I think they have built a roster that gives them an awful lot of options. I know that you want to, as this show progresses, get into Anthony Melton, what the Warriors can do to replace him, what they're allowed to do contractually, because they get a 50% rebate on the salary, and now they can go out and trade for someone in that salary structure. How does De'Anthony Melton get replaced? And we'll talk about that, but I want to start with Kuminga.
Okay.
Because I don't think that there is any coincidence that two of the most disappointing losses have been attached to Jonathan Kuminga total absences. He has been ill the last two games, so he hasn't played the last two games. And there are two games that the Warriors couldn't find their attacking the rim scoring in the fourth quarter when the shot was failing them. They were having trouble with, just putting the clamps down defensively. And not that, Kuminga's slapping the floor and holding dudes to no shots, but he's a very good defender. He's a good body to defend. And what to do with Jonathan Kuminga? How does he best serve this Warriors team as a player who contributes or as a trade asset that brings you in someone? I think Kuminga's value to this team has maybe been a little bit more easy to focus on in his absence than in his presence. I'm not trading him. I really am not, unless you're telling me that Kuminga plus gets you, the type of trade that no one would say no to.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I feel like two things can be true right now. That it can be said that is absolutely true. One
can be equally true, Cyrus. Two things.
Is that a Ralph line? Is that a Ralph Barbieri line? I was not aware of that.
Equally true.
I'm part honored, part embarrassed. I'll leave it at that. So in the great Ralph Barbieri, I honor you, sir. But no, seriously, Kuminga on one hand has had a disappointing start to the season because by his own standards, when you see what he did last year, the Warriors, like the Warriors optimists will say, hey, they won 46 games last year. That was not an awful season. Well, okay, if you're on that side of the coin where you think last year was a good year, and I don't think it was, but 46 wins is not something to sleep on either. Kuminga was the second best player on that team. I mean, and you look at his numbers from January on, where he was averaging nearly 20 points a game. He finally started to show glimpses that he could fulfill his potential. So by his own standards to start this season, very disappointing. And I think the contract extension failure maybe got to his head a little bit. Those first 3 games particularly were abysmal. You take those first three games out in his overall statistics, and he's actually had a decent year, but still by his standards, not the best.
I gotta be honest with you. My first official red flag on Kuminga is when the two of us showed up to media day and he's sitting there with blonde hair. I'm just like,
well, yeah, he's young. He's young, and he's a fashionista, meaning like, again, he has 2 French bulldogs named Prada and Dior. I mean, so I'm not going to judge him for that. I'm not going to judge him for that. To each your own in terms of your personal interests, your hobbies, whatever. But yeah, it's not a good look. What are you going to do? But with that said, the Warriors.
Real quick. What's your dog's name?
Bubba.
Okay.
But again, look, man, I don't like, to each their own, but I hear what you're saying at the same time.
No, not to each their own. You start naming your animals after freaking designer houses, Italian fashion houses. You better be a chick. Okay.
He was 19. He was 19 when he got the dogs. That's why the blonde hair, less forgivable. But a lot of people have done that with their hair, and that's why I don't want to judge too much.
The real men gone.
With that said, the Golden State Warriors in these 2 games where he's been absent look average. Okay, they look average without Kuminga. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think there's a coincidence that they lost these 2 games, especially the Nets. How the hell do you lose that game? I mean, all the energy, all the force that Steve Kerr was mentioning post-game that the team has lacked these last 2 games. Yeah, that's what Kuminga brings to the table. He leads the team in free throw attempts. He's 3rd in the NBA in scoring off the bench. He's literally a force of nature out there. So yes, he was missed. He's needed, and you better blow me away with any trade proposal involving Jonathan Kuminga if you want my side of approval.
If you're not trading him, I want him bumped up from 14, 16 minutes a night. He should be a 20-minute-a-night player. If you're going to retain him, further invest in him with opportunity and minutes. If you're going to move on from him, you wouldn't then take the player that you moved on from him for and give that dude 18 minutes a night. So do you think
Damon, you're preaching to the choir on that topic. The fact that Kuminga hasn't closed games, even when he was playing the last few, that was a huge question mark. We could obviously talk about Moses Moody not playing the second half of the last game and not closing. I thought that was a huge stain in terms of coaching decisions. Like, I don't know how you justify playing Brandin Podziemski at the end of that game over Moses Moody. You're absolutely right. There are decisions in terms of player minutes that should be debated, that in terms of something that could be corrected with this team. We're 100% on the same page there. And in terms of Kuminga's trade discussions, I'm with you as well, man. You don't trade him. Like, would you trade him for Jimmy Butler? Because I would not. Jimmy Butler's 35, dude. That's a tough one. He might, but yeah.
3 years ago, Jimmy, yes. 3 years ago, I'm doing that deal. Now, no, I don't think so. And I'm a Jimmy Butler guy. I like Jimmy buckets, but I just. Here's the thing. Here's the deal. I don't care about anybody's age anymore. Because I don't care about anything other than the next 3 years of Warriors basketball.
Yeah.
3 years of Warriors basketball. That's what you basically got left in Steph. That's the only timeline that matters to me. I was talking about, should Kyle vanish? Who do you want to replace him with? And I'm like, bring in Bill Belichick. What are you kidding me?
I know. I'm on that side too. Some people are. It's weird.
He's too old. I'm like, I don't care how old he is anymore. This is not a 10-year, 12-year hire. This is 3 years.
Yeah.
3-4 years tops. That's all.
We're not making this Niners show, but you're right. There's a weird argument there, and I don't hear logic from the Niners fans who are against a move like that. It's just like a emotional thing. No, I am 100% on board with Bill Belichick coming onto this team. I was 100% on board with Tom Brady coming on the Niners roster to start as their QB 2 years ago. That would have been a Super Bowl. But anyways, this is a Warriors show. I'm sorry.
By the way, somebody says, Gareth, the two logos are on the wrong side.
Oh.
Well, watch this. We got to run a two-man weave.
There you go. There you go.
Now they're on the right. The logos are frozen. We can move. We can move.
I feel better. Yeah.
There we go. But Gareth, thank you very much. No detail escapes you.
I love it. We have ads, by the way. While you run your sponsor, I'm going to go get my phone because that's where all my notes are for the trade discussions.
You go ahead and you grab that
I'll
phone.
be right back.
In the meantime, let me tell everyone, I don't know what your lunch plans are for the day, but all you need to do, why did he have to kill the camera? But now Ike's gets the entire box to himself right there. My man Ike has got a delicious sandwich for you waiting at one of his now over 100 locations. Hopefully you've got an Ike's near you. Download the Rewards app. Start ordering sandwiches there. Start getting yourself free chips, free drinks, and a chance to go to a very large football game in New Orleans as Cyrus gives you
I ate the Ike's logo. That's how hungry Ike's makes me, man.
There you go. And when you're done eating, my man, you go ahead and you get yourself a Guinness to wash it all down at the Dubliner in West Portal. That's my kind of bar. Maybe that's where I'm going to go spend a little time on Thanksgiving Eve. There's no way I'm going to be able to break free of my two kids and lovely wife. I'm staying home tonight. But
you're whipped, man. You're whipped.
The 27-year-old Damon would have totally been at the Dubliner in West Portal tonight. Certainly might have thought about dropping by Sunday night for 49ers and Bills, since that's going to be a game you're going to need to drink your way through. Or maybe you're going to go there tonight to watch Thunder and Warriors, kind of an interesting game that I know we're about to get into. But there you go. Thanks to Ike's, thanks to the Dubliner, and Cyrus, do your business.
Thank you, sir. Sponsoring Golden Days today, and by default, also sponsoring the Damon Bruce Show. That is a side note. That's a perk for our sponsors when we do these dual streams. That you're getting a lot of free views on that other channel. So congratulations. That is the giving that we give you on Thanksgiving. And this Thanksgiving,
a perk for my sponsor, BetUS. But continue.
Sorry about that. Okay, I apologize to them.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Go ahead.
But my sponsor doesn't care. I apologize to yours though. That the conflict affects them. But this Thanksgiving holiday, why not head to the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting, and that's Bet Online. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with constant real-time odds and action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, boxing, and so much more. Head to the website today to see why BetOnline is America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. And now back to the show.
So let's get into De'Anthony Melton and the opportunities that are sitting just right there for the Warriors to maybe make good on a player that unfortunately is wrapped up for the year. Knee surgery means no more De'Anthony Melton, but this is a roster spot that the Warriors are going to be able to fill with not quite a mid-level, but they will be granted some injured player, grace, if you will, by the NBA's contracts and how they all work together. So let's talk about what the future could hold to replace De'Anthony Melton in the aggregate, if you will.
Just to add to that, the trade exemption you're referring to, unfortunately has virtually no relevancy for the Warriors, because what the trade exemption would do for a team who had some cap space is you could reduce the contract in half, like you said, and then use that space, that slash in half, and spend that money on someone else. However, when you're hard capped, like the Golden State Warriors are, it becomes irrelevant, because even with that slash, the Warriors would still have to create that $6.4 million in space to get under the cap. Now, so that part of it, unfortunately, the trade exemption is not going to do much. I saw someone, I think Brett Siegel or somebody of Clutch Sports reported that the Warriors might do that. I don't know what good it would do, but what the Warriors can do is trade his contract and the entirety of it, which is approximately $12.9 million, and do a full trade with someone where the value has to match 75% of that $12.5 million in order to greenlight the deal. And there are some options out there. There are some teams who are all in on, as you beautifully monikered, capture the flag, right? Was that you coined that, correct?
Cooper Flag. Who, by the way,
pursuit
did not play great last night. I watched that Kansas Duke game. Great basketball game, by the way. That was really good at the end. Kansas ends up winning, but Cooper was just he was okay. He wasn't hey, no doubt about it, he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, he was out there playing Kansas, which is good too. But
it makes college basketball relevant. I think that's a huge positive for Cooper Flag. Side note. Right? I don't know. I'm not a college basketball guy anymore. I used to be, and then since the one and done thing started, where people show up for like a year and they're out, I stopped being that interested in it. But I know I'm the weirdo in this scenario, possibly. I know you love your Hoosiers. I don't blame you. And so Cooper Flag is making college basketball interesting for people like me.
Are you Banana Slug? Where'd you go?
Well, no, I got to deal with the sun here real fast. No, I went to a lot of schools. I think you say Banana Slugs because of Humboldt State. I did go to Humboldt State.
Okay.
But I also went to San Diego State. I bounced around, went to
That's right. I knew you. Yeah. I not a lot of one and dones going to Humboldt. That shouldn't have bothered you too much, but
no. But
no, but I hear you. It's a shifting landscape for sure. And if you don't have a team, you might know. I totally get it. But anyways, back to Melton and the options that the Warriors really have. It sounds like they're very handcuffed.
Yeah, well, they are. But again, you could move that Melton deal, right? Like you could, and that's. And look, I don't know how you feel about Jake Fisher. He's a relatively new face in the NBA landscape the last few years in terms of an individual who's breaking stories, has supposed like really clutch inside sources that's giving him information. And again, I don't know I've never heard of him until like 2-3 years ago. He suddenly showed up. Now he's with Yahoo Sports. Anyway, so I'm curious to know what your feelings are on someone like him who just suddenly is a name in the grand scheme of things, and whether you trust it or not. With that said, Jake Fisher reported that the Golden State Warriors are looking to move that Melton deal. And if you're a team like, say, the Brooklyn Nets, like, say, the Charlotte Hornets, who are on the cusp here, but I think you can include them as well. The Utah Jazz are an obvious one. The Wizards are an obvious one. There are certain teams who have no hope this year and who are all in without any shame on the capture the flag sweepstakes. And what the Warriors can do with this Melton deal is flip it. You're going to have to entice the other team with a draft pick at a bare minimum. But you flip Melton and a pick, and one of these teams will give you an asset that you can use now to replace Melton, who's utterly worthless for the rest of the year. I mean, the Warriors, and I'm sorry again about the visuals here, the Warriors are all in for a title this season. You mentioned the next 3 years. I think this next 1 year, I mean, I don't know if you have a better shot than this. I mean, you've proven you're this close. You've seen the NBA landscape. There's no team out there that has a Nuggets-type roster where Jokic is surrounded by a massively strong supporting staff, where the Warriors would have no shot in a situation like that. The Nuggets are bad this year. The Sixers are bad this year. Every team with a big that could cause huge problems for the Warriors, they're incapacitated this year in terms of championship pursuits. The window is open. They got to seize it this year. And that Melton contract could set things up for a trade in the next month or so, when December 15th is when all these new free agents can be traded. And that's when the deals can officially start. And this is the window, man. And so this is what I want to talk about with you today, is the Melton contract and what they could flip it for.
What's Jake Fisher and Cyrus Saatsaz saying is out there? What do we got? Give me a name or two. Let's come
Well, I gave you some teams. Do you want to list the team, and I'll tell you, or I could just go one by one. Either way is fine. But there are about I found 6 teams that are basically out of the running. They were out of the running from day one. They're out of the running now. And they are teams that have nothing to gain by trying to win this year. Right. So they're willing to gut their franchise in pursuit of either Cooper Flag or another lottery pick. But here are the teams, first of all, that the Warriors can have negotiations with regarding De'Anthony Melton, because a decent team has no interest in a player who's out for the year.
It sounds like it's going to be, the list of the who the hell is going on here. I mean, it sounds like the Portland Trailblazers, the Pelicans, the Wizards, the Raptors are all in this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So, and specifically, just to get them all checked off, it's the Charlotte Hornets, the Toronto Raptors, the Washington Wizards, who I think is safe to say are the worst team in the NBA. They only have 2 wins this season. The Utah Jazz, the Portland Trailblazers, the Brooklyn Nets, and then there's a wild card, which I'm going to save for the very end because that could be the funnest discussion to have here. But those are the 6 that we're going to discuss today. Who would you like to go first in terms of who the Warriors could theoretically trade De'Anthony Melton for?
Let's start with the Wizards.
All right.
Tell me how they get back into the Jordan Poole business.
They're not getting to the Jordan Poole business.
I'm just kidding.
I know. But the Wizards have 2 options here that the Warriors can pursue that I saw. And again, these are like realistic options. When I say realistic, I mean like Steve Kerr's signing off on it. And that eliminates a lot of players, right? This has to be someone who would fit the team ethos, who Steve Kerr would actually play. So with that said, the Wizards have 2 players here who are options. And not all of these are sexy or attractive. Most of these you're probably going to shut down right away. But I'm just listing them off because they are options nonetheless. The Washington Wizards have Malcolm Brogdon, veteran point guard. The Warriors saw him when he was with the Celtics in the finals a couple of years ago. He's been bouncing around a team since. Still talented. I don't know if he's the type of player that you're looking for, but he would replace Melton and he'd give you a solid veteran presence. And then the other one is a name that everyone's been talking about. He will be available in a month from now, and that's Jonas Valanciunas. So your thoughts on those 2, sir?
So Brogdon replaces, the concept of having a guy who can actually go 2 ways. Like I was reading a Tim Kawakami article saying that without De'Anthony Melton, you don't really have a single 2-way guy now here. You got an offensive lineup or a defensive lineup, and hard to find in the middle what is really going on. Valanciunas sounds like a guy that doesn't stay on the floor with the Warriors. Right? Like he's just not going to go up and down the court with them. So I would be more interested in Brogdon.
Yeah, my first of all, one of my parents just texted me. They're like, "Where'd your logo go? Tell Damon to put your logo back."
Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what happened.
It's not a big deal. It's because of sponsors. No. It's not a big deal. I'm just making a parental unit happy.
There it is.
Thank you, Damon. And my dad thanks you as well. So with that said,
Mr. Saatsaz.
Jonas Valanciunas.
No.
And look, you got a new subscriber, Damon. He's going to subscribe to your channel now. So Jonas Valanciunas has been linked to the Warriors for a while. I actually think he would be a realistic option in terms of someone that Kerr would play as a backup. He might only get 10 minutes, but those 10 minutes could be incredibly serviceable. And then Malcolm Brogdon is not sexy. Like you said, he is a 2-way player, though. He does replace De'Anthony Melton in terms of what he brought to the table.
By the way, I just clicked on Valanciunas's stats. He's 11-7.
He's a good player. He's not a great player, but he's a good player.
There's no scenario where the Warriors couldn't use 11 more points and 7 more rebounds a night. So I kind of like that. There's no ball handler in him. We're back to 3 guys on this team can dribble, but okay.
And yes, and so that's your options there. And I don't know if you're monitoring the chat, but that's what you get with the Washington Wizards. You get now granted, with both those contracts, you'd also have to include someone like Gary Payton II to make the salaries work. De'Anthony Melton would not be enough, but they're out there. You can have those 2 players. They're options. Now moving on from the Washington Wizards, and again, I'm sorry to everyone who is not blown away by those 2 names, but this is reality for you, right? I mean, you're not going to get like a superstar player here. The Charlotte Hornets have the least amount of options available. They're not going to just give up anybody, right? They're not tanking at the same level the Wizards are, where the entire roster's up for grabs. So there's only one name on their roster, and I don't know if this moves the needle at all. It doesn't really move it much for me.
Can I guess who it might be? Can I guess?
Guess.
Seth Curry?
No, it's actually not. Because And here's the reason why Seth wouldn't work is because he only makes $2 million. So the salaries wouldn't work regardless. But you could get him in this trade as an additional compliment. The player I'm referring to is Josh Green. The salaries would work. He's a good 2-way player. He's a shooting guard, not a sexy pick, but he would improve your team, and you'd also get Seth Curry along with him. So it would be Josh Green and Seth Curry.
Josh Green is talking about 6.5 and 2.5. He's not done much. I mean, Charlotte obviously isn't very good right now, but what else?
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's how this works. Now, the Brooklyn Nets are have a lot of names on their roster, and And they're going to be an interesting one because some of the players, for example, are injured. Like Bogan Bogdanovic, for example, would potentially be an option you could look at, but I don't think he's played at all this year. And I actually don't even know what his injury status is. I don't know if he's going to play. The Nets have Nick Claxton, a player who they gave a big contract to. I think it was like 4 years, 80 or 4 years, 100. It was somewhere in that range. He's getting 20 plus million a year. So I don't know if the Warriors would be open to sending that kind of money, but they also have players like Dorian Finney-Smith. They have, I don't know if Cam Johnson, you'd have to include beyond just De'Anthony Melton to get him, but Cam Johnson is another player. And that's where you'd have to include maybe like a first round pick or two. I don't know. I don't like Dennis Schroeder. I'm not looking at him as someone I would not want Dennis. I think the Warriors are small enough. What do you think about him?
So the guy that I just saw last night, 2 nights ago, whenever that Warriors game was, you can put that guy on your team. Yeah, Schroeder sees the Golden State Warriors and he turns into Allen Iverson. It's really, he turns into an all-star when he's playing the Golden State Warriors.
Correct.
Little bit of a pest defensively. I would be kind of interested. Again, if we weren't interested in small guards, we would have never gotten to De'Anthony Melton in the first place, and that's who we're trying to replace here. So I could see Schroeder working out. By the way, another reason why that game was just such a bad game to dump to the Nets is they didn't even have what Ben Simmons, whatever Ben Simmons is supposed to be, he didn't even play in the game. It made that loss even worse.
Nick Claxton didn't play in that game either. I mean, the Nets are small.
By the way, I got it open right now, and I'm not saying that the ESPN NBA depth chart is the best way to look at anything, but I don't even see Bogdan Bogdanovic being rostered. He's not even rostered right now.
Oh, okay, well there you go. So then he's not even an option. It's just, if it was a healthy Bogdanovic, I would look at that as a serious option, but I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if someone in the chat wants.
He's on the roster, but he's not on the depth chart.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know what's going on with him. The only thing I see here is
or day to day anything.
2 days ago, he was ruled out for the Warriors game with a foot injury. But again, you're right. I haven't seen him play all year. I don't know what's going on there. If someone in the chat wants to enlighten us again, let us know. But regardless, he doesn't sound like a good option if he can't even stay on the floor. So forget him. But that's Brooklyn for you, man. The Brooklyn Nets have some options. Again, I would not mind Cam Johnson. Like that would be my favorite pick of all this. But Cam Johnson at the same time played for Steve Kerr in the FIBA Cup last year, and by the end of the tournament, he was barely getting minutes. So I don't know if he's even an option, given he might not be a Steve Kerr type of player. Dorian Finney-Smith would be the option I would like the most, but he doesn't really move the needle that much either. But you could probably get him for like a second round draft pick. I mean, he could be cheap, and I wouldn't mind giving up nothing for Dorian Finney-Smith either. So there you go with the Nets.
And what else we got?
All right, fair enough. The Nets are not a team that I think realistically is going to be a trade target, even with those names. Now, the Toronto Raptors have 4 names. Like of all the trade options, they're one of the more intriguing ones because they're in full-on tank mode. They've got some assets that they'd be more than willing to move.
Yeah,
they're sizing about Cooper Flag
on the year.
Say again?
They're 4-14 on the year.
They're awful. They're an awful team. So you could get there, and they have players on their team. Here are the 4 names on the Raptors that you could realistically get. Some of these you can get for virtually nothing, like Melton and a second round pick. Fine, we'll give them to you.
Can we reunite with Chris Boucher? Wasn't he a Warrior for a hot minute?
That's the first name I'm bringing up. It's Chris Boucher, who gives you size. Every time Warriors fans see him, I'm sure they're tinged with regret over letting him go for nothing. So it's Chris Boucher is one of the names. Yes, Bruce Brown is an intriguing one because he's the type of guy who every time he is added to a team's bench, they win, and they win big. And I mean, Nuggets fans will attest to what he contributed to that team. He's available. You'd have to include GP2, but great, fine. Now suddenly you have a guard who's even giving you size, who's a two-way player. Like Bruce Brown out of all these is, and I know Warriors fans are probably shrugging or giving me a weird look, but for me, Bruce Brown is one of the most intriguing names available. And then the Raptors also have a player named Davion Mitchell, who I'm not saying target individually, but you could produce a combo trade with them where you're getting back either Kelly Olynyk is the fourth name. You can get Kelly Olynyk and Davion Mitchell if you include, let's say, a GP2 in the contract. So those are the four names from the Raptors: Chris Boucher, Bruce Brown, Davion Mitchell, Kelly Olynyk. You'd have to include GP2 in for some of these players to make the numbers work. With that said, they're the most intriguing trade partner to me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be interested in Chris Boucher. I would be interested in Bruce Brown. Of all of the players that we've mentioned so far, and look, I had to open up to see what he was doing this year before I liked Valanciunas. Not bad, but I would rather go Boucher Brown before I did anything else. So I am sitting down to have a meal with the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Before I think I'm eating in any other one of these cities to even talk about what we might be able to do. So, okay, let's move Toronto to the top of the heap. What's else under the heap?
And real fast in the chat, Gareth Yep is saying Dante DiVincenzo is available. Theoretically, yes, but Minnesota is going to ask for a lot in return. So just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that DiVincenzo, as good as he is, him and De'Anthony Melton, they're two different classes of players. If you're expecting DiVincenzo to fill De'Anthony Melton's shoes, I would not expect that. People forget easily that DiVincenzo, when he was with the Warriors, had good games, also had bad games. He virtually disappeared in that playing game. So I'm not as enamored with the idea of Dante DiVincenzo as some people are. I wouldn't mind him, but I'm not giving up important assets to get him either.
He had a really nice run with the New York Knicks.
Yeah, he did.
The fact that his last name has a lot of Italian vowels in it, though, means the coverage was slanted towards, hey, Italian at the Garden. Look, I'm not saying that he is the basketball equivalent of Tommy Cutlets, but believe me, if that guy weren't Italian either, you wouldn't be hearing much about him.
DiVincenzo.
And he's now in Minnesota. And look, I thought what brought out the best in DiVincenzo was like the Knicks had that Villanova thing going on for a minute there, and then they got out of the Villanova business, and DiVincenzo's not eating spaghetti at Raleigh Massimino's house anymore. Raleigh Massimino was famous for his spaghetti team dinners. You know that, of course. And so, look, I don't. I'm not. No, I don't. DiVincenzo sounds like let's not go home again. That's not it to me either. I'll take Bruce. I'll take my first run at Bruce Brown or another run at Chris Boucher before I'd want another run at Dante DiVincenzo. With all due respect to all of North Beach.
Roddy Sage in the chat saying any possibility for Miles Turner? No. Just put it simply, no. His price tag would be insanely high. The Pacers have never expressed a willingness to trade him. Don't keep your hopes up. That's what I would say about that. Your thoughts on Miles Turner, Damon?
Yeah, it ain't happening.
It's wishful thinking is what I'm trying to say. He would be great, but wishful thinking. Moving on. So the Raptors are someone, I agree with you, Damon, that you would actually take that call. You would have a dinner. You would have some gabagool with the Raptors. So can you imagine two GMs just gabagooling it? Incredible. The Utah Jazz are another team here that have some names, and the Utah Jazz would be in full-blown fire sale mode. They would give you anybody that is not.
I mean, obviously, at the same time, though, Danny Ainge is the biggest swinging pain in the ass to deal with in this league. So who knows? But go ahead. Who you got?
So, you're absolutely right. Danny Ainge is a pain in the ass. He's not someone who's fun to trade with. With that said, here are some names on the Utah Jazz roster because he would take the call. It's just the question is, how much is he asking for? Jordan Clarkson would probably be available. He's an intriguing name. Like when you think about Jordan Clarkson on the Warriors, you do think about that a little bit because you could picture certain nights where he's just lighting Chase Center up. The crowd is blowing up from a flurry of 5 straight threes. Like I could fantasize about Jordan Clarkson with the Warriors. John Collins.
So of all the guys that we've talked about, he's the only dude who is talking about 15 points a night.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Consistently. Yeah, that's fair. And then John Collins is a big on the Jazz that you can get expensive. You'd have to include a couple other things besides De'Anthony Melton, but he's available for trade. Colin Sexton is a player I've never been big on, but some people are. I'd love to get your thoughts. And then Patty Mills is the cheap, like, please don't let it come down to that option.
Okay, I mean, Colin Sexton is Jordan Clarkson, but even better, right? So, like,
ooh, okay,
I would definitely be interested in, in Colin Sexton.
Okay.
John Collins, not really. But again, at the same time, Danny Ainge isn't going to trade you either one of those guys unless you include Podziemski, which at this point, maybe they would. I mean, I don't know. Like, here's the thing. If you end up trading Podziemski to Utah for Jordan Clarkson or Colin Sexton, when you wouldn't include him to get Lauri Markkanen, that's pretty much, what people are chanting as they're dragging Mike Dunleavy out to the bay to drown him. So
what are your thoughts on Podziemski, man? I've talked about it ad nauseum. What are your thoughts on the fact that he's struggling? And this struggle is still ongoing, man. But despite that, there does seem to be a double standard in terms of the way Kerr looks at Podziemski versus the way he looks at Moody. What are your thoughts on all that? Because it's a talking point.
You better be extraordinary as a drafted Caucasian in this league. Okay. I mean, it's just like that. I'm sorry. Brandin Podziemski there's not a lot of there right now. And if you're telling me that he's just a really, really streaky shooter and the pendulum is going to swing back dramatically. We saw the pendulum swing towards him dramatically at the end of last year, where his shooting splits in like the last 20 games were markedly better than his first 60. But yeah, dude, he's an undersized. How about this? If you're one of those jack of all trades, it means you don't have a single elite skill. What is his single elite attribute? I don't know what it is, and I don't think
getting charges.
Great, so fantastic. He should have played. Here's the thing: like, when the game in the Big Ten is too much for you, and you got to go to the WCC to earn your stripes as a basketball player, by the time you get to the NBA, you're going to find out that this is a lot harder than the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a big, Brandin Podziemski has moments that make me think, okay, maybe there's something there. And then he has a week that makes me go, why isn't Moses Moody getting any minutes? I don't. So yeah, Podziemski, I got Podziemski in the take him or leave him camp. How is he going to best serve this team? The fact that I don't know is a problem.
True Talon dropped $1.99, Damon, to get your thoughts on.
Oh, we got a super. Damon, your thoughts on Ty Jerome being better than Podziemski? That's not good.
No, it's not good.
It's not good.
You reminded me, I watch Seinfeld still 35 years later.
I do too.
Every day. It's on the TV, it's on Comedy Central, and it's on my TV. It's my background noise. And every time I hear someone say it's all good, I always picture Seinfeld in that tax episode where George is supposed to, he's dating someone who's supposed to help him out with the taxes. He's getting audited, and then he breaks up with the girl, forgets to take care of the taxes. And then Jerry's like, that's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good. That's the Brandin Podziemski situation for you right there.
Look at it this way. I'm going to need to see a lot more if Brandin Podziemski wants to be my latex salesman. Okay? I'm just going to need to see more from him. Because what we're getting right now, you cannot be my number one outdoor, out of the office latex guy.
And I want to remind people of this as well. The Eastern Conference is a whole different beast. There's a lot of people that look good playing the East. I'll just leave it at that. Probably, and congrats to Ty Jerome for having a great season. I've never disliked him personally. I just disliked the fact that he was stealing minutes from players who I thought was.
So where are you going now here then? Excuse
Okay,
me.
so we got two more teams.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
My
Sorry.
wife, Jillian, just decided to make this show a true Thanksgiving spectacular. Hold on.
Okay. Damon's got the headphones off for people who are just listening. Oh, this is if you're listening to this on the podcast, you're deprived, because on the YouTube show, Damon Bruce has just put on a prop that is the prop of props. It is one of the greatest, and we saw your beautiful wife's. And I've never met her, so I mean, I imagine she is.
Come on in, honey. There she is.
Nice to meet you, Jillian. Hope to meet you in person someday soon. Welcome.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving, Cyrus?
I got the family to get together. Yeah,
Okay.
I get the family party. Yes.
All right, good.
What are you doing? What are you doing besides wearing an awesome hat? Nice to meet you, Jillian. That was awesome. A cameo. How often does Jillian make an appearance on the Damon Bruce show? Is that a regular thing, or
she tries to distance herself from everything I'm doing professionally as much as possible, and it's really good advice if you think about it.
I respect your wife even more. That's smart move. I appreciate. I respect the tactic.
Who is being transferred greatness just by being around Damon? Nobody. So yeah. Move on, honey. Stay successful.
Behind every good man is a good woman.
Yeah, what are we doing? So we normally host Thanksgiving, but several people couldn't make it over. So my buddy Greg in his bar, the Halfway Club, they're shutting down the bar, but they're opening it towards friends and family. And they got like an industrial kitchen. So we're getting together with like 25, 30 people and friends of my friends and some family. And we're all getting together, and we're not going to have to do any dishes because it's not going to be at our place. So I'm all about it.
That's an underrated variable when you're factoring in where to do the dish thing. Is absurd, especially for Thanksgiving. Like that's a whole 2 hours. You just got to spend your life that you got to spend doing dishes. It's ridiculous. I'm with you, man. 100%. Use paper plates, folks. I know it's tacky, but who cares, man? This is 2 hours of your life.
Well, here's the thing. It is Thanksgiving. Like, if you can't use the good china on Thanksgiving, why even have good china? Right? I mean, it is a one day of the year.
There's the other point. There's the counterpoint, and I respect it.
Paper plate yourself 364 other days of the year. This is the one day where you actually use glasses, not Dixie cups.
I respect that. Joe Schmo in the chat bringing up Bob Sacramano. I mean, we're on fire here right now, Damon. You got the hat. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. So I'm guessing this means you will not be hosting a show tomorrow. Are you off?
I'm off tomorrow. Yes, right. We're off tomorrow. We got the kids at home. By the way, Daily Meditation wants you to know Melton is hurt. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Breaking news here.
It is. I didn't know that. So De'Anthony Melton is injured. All right, so now we got to redo the whole show because we were under the premise.
Do we have any teams left? Any other options? So, by the way, of all the options, I would like to go back to re-ranking them. I'm more interested in breaking bread with the Toronto Raptors about a possibility here than any other team that you brought up so far. But we're not done bringing up teams. So give me
We're almost there. We're almost there. Two more teams, and there's one that's a wild card. So the last team here on the list is the Portland Trailblazers, who do have some names. And again, this is when you look at the Portland Trailblazers, this is where you do have to remind yourself the Warriors have a shot this season. And so if you're gonna go all out, this is the year to do it. And what I mean by that is the Blazers have some names that could be difference makers. I'm referring to two players particularly. Let me actually save those two players for last, because the first of the three names is the one that may or may not be a difference maker, and that's Matisse Thybulle, who is available, who can shoot the three, who does play fantastic defense. So he could be an option. And then the two names, though, that are difference makers would be Jeremy Grant and Robert Williams III.
Okay, so Jeremy Grant is the only dude that I would be really, really interested on here, because I think Robert Williams III is a, he's scratched every other game I see him in the box score. He's always hurt. Fair. And I don't think they need to flip a hurt guy for another about to be hurt asset.
Yeah, fair. He is playing right now, and he does look damn good. Like when he plays,
this thing's hotter than it looks, by the way. It's
But Robert Williams III, I would be ecstatic if he suddenly was your starting center. That would just put me to the moon in exultation. I would be so excited over that. But You're right. He's also durability is an issue with him. But Jeremy Grant would be. I mean, he could
game changer in that Celtics series. He was. I mean, had he had been healthy, I don't know if the Warriors are winning that title.
Yeah. So and then Jeremy Grant, though. I mean, first of all, I only learned this, Damon, like 2 weeks ago. I had no idea of this fact until very recent. Did you know Jeremy Grant's dad is Harvey Grant, the twin brother who also played in the NBA of Horace Grant? I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, Horace Grant is his uncle.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and then Harvey's his dad, and they're twins. They're kind of like Jose and his brother. Who's Jose's twin brother? Remember that guy who I think passed away? Side note, like Jose Canseco had a twin brother as well who also played wasn't as good. Anyways, so that's how Jeremy Grant has some NBA lineage, and
Ozzy wasn't it Ozzy Canseco?
Yes, yes, and who passed away? That's kind of crazy. But a couple years ago, yeah, Ozzy Canseco. That's which is a real thing.
I named my second son after Ozzy Canseco. So, to me, he's a very.
I would end this partnership right now if that was true. I really would. I would just say we're done. Like, it was like friendship to be determined. Show canceled.
By the way, True Blue Forever right here says Horace Grant is his uncle. Sounds like a punchline. It does a little. It really does.
It does. So anyway, so Portland has some names as well. I would consider taking a lunch with them, even though their GM, was it Jack Cronin or whatever his name is kind of a chode, but I would still take a lunch with him.
It's all right. You got to do business with chode sometime in life.
True.
So
that is true.
Be chode friendly.
And then the wild card to wrap up today's show.
I thought Portland was your wild card. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, okay. We got one more. So this is a wild card. Why? Because the name that you're about to give us is too big, or the team is actually competing a little too hard to be in sell it off mode?
All the above. And the name is only one name for this one team. And it's an interesting one because if you're the Golden State Warriors, you can use De'Anthony Melton's contract and give up assets that you can move on from immediately and get this guy. It's a risk, but it's a name. And if it pans out, you're winning a chip. His name is Zion Williamson. The Warriors can get him right now for 2 first-round picks, Melton, GP2, Looney, 2 first-round picks. He's yours. You could have Zion Williamson. And then if the best version of him shows up, you're winning a chip.
He is such a distressed asset. Keyword, still being asset. And
again, I'm not advocating for this, but I am saying this is available. If you're going to take a swing at something that is a risk, like you said, you're absolutely right, man. Potentially damaged asset, but the Warriors have turned those things around, man. Andrew Wiggins, no one was excited about that. When the Warriors first made that trade.
Andrew Wiggins is having his best month with the Golden State Warriors right now.
He's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. You're right. He's playing great.
He's been great. And I didn't think I was ever going to be able to root for that guy ever again. But he is actually having a really good year. I just want to bring up New Orleans.
Pleasant surprise, Andrew Wiggins. He's like, you're absolutely right, man. The best case version of Andrew Wiggins, we're seeing it right now. Such a pleasant surprise. I don't know how else to spin that, dude. That's the
all right. Bravo. Hold on. I don't mean to bring the show to a screeching.
You're fine.
Halt
You're good.
Here.
You're good.
Williamson not close to returning with a hamstring timetable. He remains out. Shams said, "I'm told Zion is not remotely close to coming back. This is a 4 to 6 week injury, but the Pelicans are bracing for him to be out beyond that point." So we're talking, if you were to do this deal, you're not looking at Zion until February, March.
Maybe January if you're optimistic. We don't know for sure what the situation is. Part of this could be the Pelicans shelving him to move him because I don't know if you're aware of this, and you probably are, but just in case you're not, and maybe the audience isn't aware of this, Zion Williamson could just get cut by the Pelicans after the season. His contract is no longer guaranteed because of the number of games he missed. Part of the reason why he split with his agency is because he's in this situation now where he might just be cut and lose all that money. So he's an asset you could get. And again, it's a flyer, but that dude, when he's healthy and he's playing, is a beast.
No, he's 20 and 10 waking up in the morning on a healthy day.
And I wouldn't mind Draymond tutoring him and coaching him. I wouldn't mind, presenting this challenge to Steve Kerr, because you can't play Zion 5 minutes a night. You can't be herky-jerky with Zion's minutes like you are with Moody and Kuminga. You got to play them. It's going to be glaring if you don't. And I want to I would like this challenge, but it is a risk.
Sporticus says Zion after Thanksgiving might not be the best investment. All I can say is that's funny.
Porn convention. After a porn convention, maybe not a good time either. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Porn convention.
Yeah, I would say I would avoid that time as well. Yeah, because he was dating the porn. Remember that porn star was like harassing him on social media for a month? Like every day was putting him on.
Wait. Just because you're on OnlyFans doesn't mean you're a porn star.
Oh, I apologize.
Just another chick fingering herself for money.
Was she OnlyFans? Was that the limit of this individual?
I think, unless you're like literally in some backyard in, Simi Valley. Are you really doing porn?
I guess I have not done my research on this. I apologize if
we're
I mislabeled the individual.
We're throwing around this term porn star a little too loosely these days.
I thought she was. I could be all right if I'm mistaken. Well, OMG, it's Manny in the chat is asking. He dropped the $1.99, so I got to give some love to anyone.
Absolutely, we break for supers. Here we go.
Absolutely. I would answer my answer to this question, Damon. I don't know about you, but I'm saying to the question: would Zion work paired with Draymond? Resounding yes. I think it would work beautifully. That's my thought on it. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it is just up to so let's get those two personalities in a room and see how they actually mesh. And if Zion were to just, like little brother around Draymond Green, it would be the best thing in the world that ever happened to Zion's career, for sure. Yes. So there's a lot to be learned from a guy who has won at the highest level. I'll tell you what could be best for Zion Williamson is getting him out here in California, where the concept of nutrition and delicious can still be actually put together in the same place.
Yeah.
And what could, Rick Celebrini and the Warriors training staff do to this guy that, obviously hasn't happened? It would be an all-in or crap out and have to leave the casino type of move.
And here's why I'm not fully against it is because for the price, it would be minimal damage. Like if it didn't pan out, you'd lose this season, unfortunately. It would be huge unfortunate, but you're not giving up the future. That's the only reason why I don't mind it. You're not giving up 5 years from now for this risk. You're giving up possibly this year, but the reward is a title.
How about this? I have to include Jonathan Kuminga to get Zion Williamson. I'm not doing it.
Hell no. That's the beauty. That's why I brought this up. You could get him for Melton, GP2, Kevon Looney, you could replace Looney with someone else. That's just to make the numbers work. But you'd have to probably throw in a first-round pick. That would be the biggest price. But
how about this? So you can get the first rounder and no players, or players and no first rounder. I would be driving the bargain if I were Mike Dunleavy Jr. here, and just tell him there's, you got two directions. You can get a pick or you can get two players, but you're not getting the poo-poo platter for a guy whose hamstrings are made out of rubber bands right now.
And for the folks in the chat who mentioned like they prefer Valanciunas, they prefer Kelly Olynyk, I get it. I'm personally not advocating for Zion. What I am saying is it's a possibility, and it's something to think about.
The Valanciunas is the million times safer bet, but should you be rewarded with a healthy Zion, the payoff there is, you forget about just we're comping the next meal. You could stay in the freaking Rain Man suite.
Right.
Like you get to the penthouse if you were to get the very, very best of him. But unfortunately, even if you were getting the very, very best of Zion, the very best of Zion has never lasted 22 games in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to look at that guy as a savior when availability has literally defined his entire career. But interesting, very interesting.
And a huge reason, because some people in the chat are bringing up Nick Claxton, a huge reason why I wouldn't keep your hopes up for that is I just don't see the Warriors wanting to bring in someone with that much money owed to him. He's got like an Andrew Wiggins level contract. He's got like 3 years after this season. You talk about durability. He's hurt right now. So I wouldn't hate it, excuse me, but it's a lot of money that he's owed. And whereas a player like Valanciunas, I don't know what, actually, maybe you owe him a lot too, but he's still, I don't know, man. Damon, what are your thoughts on the Thunder? The Warriors play the Thunder tonight. Another big matchup.
I'm really, really happy that you asked, because I wanted to put it together, because I knew we were going to end up talking about the Thunder.
Yeah.
This, Cyrus, might be the single most interesting team in North American sports. Forget about just the NBA.
Okay.
There is no team, maybe in any sport, that has a collection of young, impressive, still on the come talent quite like the Oklahoma City Thunder do. And there is no team who has future assets and flexibility the way that the Oklahoma City Thunder do right now. I saw this. I clipped it. It's from CBS Sports. These are not my words. The Thunder built the bulk of their draft surplus through blockbuster deals like the Paul George and Russell Westbrook moves. But lately, they've been reinforcing it through deft cap management. Whether it's been Oladipo, Chris Paul, Al Horford, Oklahoma City has mastered the art of receiving picks for both absorbing a player and then later giving that player away. After years of making all these trades, the Thunder have amassed the largest pile of future NBA draft picks in NBA history.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
And their roster is literally laden with underpaid, because they're still on their rookie contracts, talent all around them. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the single best player in the NBA who doesn't have his own shoe deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is
Good take.
fucking great.
Good take.
I mean, he's not really, 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 really good. He's all-star level great. I mean, he is awesome. And lots of the picks that the Thunder have are protected, or they're, pick swaps. So there's a lot of moving parts to what the Thunder really have. The amount of picks that the Thunder have is so extraordinary. The actual answer is unknown. That's how many picks they have coming up. They have unknown number of picks over the next 7 years. The long story short of it.
Jesus.
The long story short of look at what the Oklahoma City Thunder are tonight. Watch them tonight, and then remind yourself as you're watching them tonight, not only are all these guys incredibly young and talented and coming together as we're watching them, but over the next 7 seasons, they will add anywhere between 9 and 15 first-round picks, and between 21 and 27 second-round picks. So there is a chance that this team has the youngest, most interesting, most underpaid, talented roster, and over the next 7 years will have more than 30 assets to either draft and play or package and trade for whatever they need. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight could put together a trade to get them Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. Okay? Like the Oklahoma City Thunder could tonight put a deal in front of the Golden State Warriors for Steph Curry that they could not say no to. That's how much talent and assets they have. So I think they're the most interesting team, and maybe in all sports, based on they can go in any direction they want. They're the Wonka Vader. They can go up and down and sideways and slantways and backways. And they can do whatever they want, and they have a genius in Sam Presti making the decisions.
I want to see Sam get one championship, but I'm totally with you. But you're absolutely right. He, with the limitations he has in terms of an owner who's not willing to spend, what he has done is phenomenal. There's no way to spin that. By the way, if you don't mind, real fast, I'm sharing something. If you don't mind approving it at the bottom of your screen,
of course,
just to show you how far ESPN has fallen, where they outsource their content to AI. This is a Warriors Thunder preview. What home streak? The headline of this says Golden State takes home win streak into matchup with Oklahoma City. First sentence in the lead.
I mean, it's one thing to use AI to write your bullshit preview. They don't even have a headline writer anymore at ESPN. That's pathetic, dude. That's all.
And the lead. Golden State hosts Oklahoma City, aiming to extend its 5-game home winning streak. They just lost to the Nets at home. This isn't accurate, is what I'm trying to say. What is going on here, man?
What's going on is the devaluation of actually people who know what they're doing and talking about in media. This is what happens when you take all the adults in your room, lay them all off for 28-year-olds who don't know shit. Sorry, 28-year-olds. I'm normally very pro 28, but you don't know shit when you're 28.
True.
Especially compared to the 68-year-old dude who just got laid off, who'd been working in sports for 40 years and was a headline writer and was real. And then you replace that 28-year-old know nothing with AI. Now you're totally fucked. And that's where we are. And look at it this way. When you see something happen to the world of disposable, it's just sports, that's one thing.
Oh,
this is literally our new world of information we're living in. It's that right there is a sad state of affairs. That is sad when you apply it to sports. When you start looking at the grander conversation of real information that actually matters, it's pathetic.
It just sucks. You can't trust them. You can't trust. It's hard. It's very sad that you're right. You nailed it. I don't know why I'm talking. You nailed it perfectly.
It's gross. It really is gross.
Yeah.
When I think about what I'm thankful for, the modern state of media is not on the list.
Yeah, it's bad. That's bad. I mean, they routinely get their stats wrong. I mean, I've already noticed that routinely, where I'll have like someone hosting with me in a post-game show, and they're like, "Wait, this says 2 steals," and I'm like, "No, my box score says 1 steal. What are you getting your information from?" ESPN. This happens routinely. It's sad. It is very sad. Just to let people know, you can't trust ESPN anymore when it comes to information. You can be entertained, but don't be informed by them.
I'll tell you who you can trust. Warriors Wednesdays at 11 a.m. on both of these channels, whether you get it on Golden Days or on the Plus, you can at least trust us that we'll try to get it right. We won't always. How about this? All of our mistakes will be well-intended. They won't be because we decided to slash the budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there is no budget to actually slash.
Right.
What else we got, Cyrus? I mean, that's it. I mean, so I think they're in trouble with the Thunder tonight. I think they're in trouble with the Thunder tonight, and they're just kind of going in the wrong direction. If they were to capture this one tonight, it would sort of point the Warriors back in the right direction. Here's the thing. At what point in time does we're playing 12 guys have to come to an end if you're not enjoying the depth that you used to?
Exactly. I think some people made the larger rotation a bigger thing than maybe needed to be, just because the Warriors have done this before. 2 of their 4 championships were with rotations that throughout the season were at times 12, 13 deep. 2022, Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody were averaging 15 plus minutes a game. They were like the end of the bench guys. They were like 12, 13. I mean, you had Juan Toscano-Anderson. People were griping then about Damian Lee getting minutes, in case you forgot.
Isn't it weird, though, that those guys were those guys then, and they're still those guys now?
and the 14-15, I mean, the Leandro Barbosas, was Kent Bazemore on that team? I don't think he was. But anyways, those teams had incredible depth as well. Brandon Rush was your 13th man on the 14-15 team, and he was contributing. So I'm not, the depth thing is nothing new. I get why some people bring it up, is because it is abnormal to have a rotation that deep. Rick Barry was on the program last week, and he was ripping it for being absurd. But it like you said, I agree. It works if you have the talent, but when the depth isn't actually delivering, there's no purpose.
By the way,
play the people who are actually contributing.
There's no league in the world that takes like I really like this guy. He's on the dude. Lindy Waters is not a starting guard in the NBA. Come on.
I mean, I don't know if he's the problem, but you're right. He's not lighting it up either, and
Right.
It's a lot of meh with him. Like,
if he's shooting 60% from three, clearly he can play. Anybody can play. If I were shooting 60% from three, you'd find minutes for me. The minute that I wasn't shooting 60% from three, you got to get that fat fucking white boy off the court. And that's the way I feel about Lindy Waters. If he ain't getting it done with his shot, get him off the court. Come on.
I'm with you, man.
What are we doing here? You got Moses Moody, who like you drafted, and you like play him. How about this? Just go with Moses Moody for 10 games in a row and just see what happens. Just see what happens. Give him 25 a night, 10 games in a row, and then reevaluate.
Good call.
Just let me see it. And if you're 2-8, you won't ever hear me fucking say it again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Never say it again. If you're 8-2, then now you know something.
And Damon, you made an excellent point. And just to piggyback off that, that's a huge reason why people have these gripes, is because when Moody and Kuminga play, they're not making these huge mistakes. Like, they're not playing bad out there, which is why when they're getting reduced minutes, it's perplexing, right? And then Podziemski's not playing well. I don't think he deserves 22, 23 minutes. I'm curious to see how the minutes are managed tonight with Kuminga back, which is the great news. OKC is favored, this line courtesy of BetOnline, by 2.5. I mean, the Warriors are not home underdogs that often, but tonight they are.
Well, I mean, obviously, Vegas isn't expecting Lindy Waters to have that revenge game against OKC. So,
well, Damon, tonight for post game, I got Larry Krueger and Paulie Mack joining me. Should be a good time. If you want to join us, the invite's open. But if not, I'll see you next Wednesday, brother. Every Wednesday is Warrior Wednesday. Love you, man. This was a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Great to see you, Cyrus. To everyone watching on your channel, to everyone over here, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thanks for stopping on by. Thanks to our super chatters. Thanks to all of our viewers for the day. Have a great time with family and friends and food and all the wonderful things that Thanksgiving's supposed to put on our table. And look, we know that not everybody is surrounded by family and friends, and the holidays can get really lonely for some people.
Good point.
So
I'm glad you said that, Damon.
Let me just say that you are welcome back here to hang out with two totally lost souls bouncing on the ocean of YouTube, yours truly and Cyrus. And we would love to have you return here. We will be your friends. We'll be your community, and we'll all get together at a Plus Mania soon enough and high five and go outside and smoke weed together, and it'll be great.
I love it. Great. Well said, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. And Mr. Saatsaz, we'll get this logo right. And thanks for the subscription. And I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, too. Take care, everyone. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, they're gone.